You get a code DC. You get a code DC. Everybody gets a code DC. Robert Bala has been hired by the Florida Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. As always, I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. And I think this was a first, by the way. We had Nick De La Torre, who is now with Florida Victorious. He sent out a message that was breaking. Gators add a new co-DC/inside linebackers coach. And it said, Billy Napier has hired Robert Bala to be the Florida Gators inside linebackers coach and co-defensive coordinator. Bala spent the 2024 year as the inside linebackers coach for the Washington Huskies. So that was the message that, and there's a lot more content in there, but if you want to be part of that, then go to floridavictorious.com and use code LOCKED, and you will save 20% on your first month. Just saying, if you want to get more information, if you want to read the rest of what Nick wrote. And it's not surprising that Florida made a hire. We did think that it would happen probably tomorrow was kind of when we thought we'd get a hire, because they just interviewed Robert Bala today, which to me says probably nailed the hire or probably nailed the interview for Robert Bala. And, you know, I sent messages from Washington people that I reached out to this morning when the news came out that Robert Bala was interviewing. And we had the response of, let me get this first one right. I said, you know, what are your thoughts on Robert Bala? Florida's interviewing him right now. And he said he's an elite position coach. I've been so impressed with him. So that was one thing. I also had someone say something that I can't repeat on air about if they lost to Robert Bala, how upset they would be. But there's that. We will hopefully be joined for tomorrow's episode by Roman Tomasoff with Locked On Huskies. So he will have experience with Coach Bala, which, by the way, Robert Bala, not Robert Saleh, not the Jets guy. Although I know a lot of people mentioned the Jets guy as someone that they wanted. But now he's back with the 49ers. But Robert Bala is a great hire. You know, and I'm interested to know because he's listed as co-DC/inside linebackers coach, and we know that the NCAA has started to restrict rules on how many coaches you can have and what analysts are able to do. And so it seems like this is Billy Napier taking advantage of that and saying, hell, then I'm going to have, first off, 2 co-DCs and a DC. Interesting. And just saying, hey, we're gonna add to this staff. And I sent a message to the insiders earlier, which the link's in the description below if you want to become a Locked On Gators insider. It's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators. But I sent a message to them last week where I spoke with Billy Napier briefly at Senior Bowl practices, and we spoke briefly about the Vinny Sunseri hire. And at the end of it, Billy Napier said, oh yeah, we're going to hire a lot more people. Which was interesting at the very least. And here is one of those hires playing into effect with Robert Bala getting the job over Tim Skipper, who interviewed on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been Friday. But Robert Bala getting the hire. I will say this, and I'll pull up his exact resume because I don't want people to start making claims that they probably shouldn't make about Robert Bala. You may not know who he is. You may not know about that. But I will tell you, he is not this inexperienced name. And chat, I see you. We'll get to you, whatever you're saying. But Robert Bala is not some inexperienced name for the Florida Gators to hire. He is just a name that you maybe don't know. But as far as experience goes, got his coaching career started in 2009 at Snow College. 2009, 2010, he was a linebackers coach there. 2011 through 2013, he was the DC at Palomar College. 2014, Oakland Raiders intern. 2015 and 16, back to DC at Palomar College. 2017, special teams coordinator at Ottawa College in Kansas. 2018 through 2021, he was the defensive coordinator at Southern Utah. 2022, he was an analyst at Liberty. 2023, this is where he took his big jump, linebackers coach at Alabama. And in 2024 was the inside linebackers coach with Washington, and is now going to be joining the Florida Gators as a linebackers coach / co-DC. And I will also say this for that 2023 job at linebackers coach. This is the ultimate, like, you know that meme where it's like some guy knocking down one domino and it seems like a very unrelated thing, and then at the end it's this giant knockdown. It's this giant domino getting knocked down. That's kind of how it went for Florida, because if you go back to Florida hires Billy Napier, it ends with Robert Bala getting hired here, but it also goes through all the dominoes getting knocked down of Florida hires Billy Napier hires Patrick Toney. Billy Napier tells Patrick Toney, hey, go find another job. You're done here. Alabama hires Austin Armstrong, or we'll say that's second, right? It's Florida hires Patrick Toney, or Florida hires Billy Napier hires Patrick Toney. Alabama hires Austin Armstrong. Billy Napier tells Patrick Toney, deuces. Florida hires Austin Armstrong as their co-DC. Alabama hires Robert Bala as linebackers coach. Nick Saban retires. Robert Bala goes to Washington under Florida alum Jed Fish. And then now Robert Bala gets hired at the University of Florida. The thing there with Florida and Austin Armstrong and how that all worked out was Austin Armstrong got hired at Alabama when Pete Golding was the DC there. And then Pete Golding took the Ole Miss job. And then Nick Saban was basically like, hey, I don't want the Pete Golding guys here. And so Florida went and got Austin Armstrong. Not that he was going to get fired, but he was available because of that. And so Florida went and got Austin Armstrong. And then when Nick Saban was like, hey, I'm going to hire my guys, Robert Bala was that guy. What's up, Charlie? Apparently 700 co-DCs. That's apparently what we're going to see here. Just everyone gets a co-DC. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you get a co-DC. You get a co-DC. Welcome to Oprah Winfrey Comes Back at the University of Florida. This is her big, this is her last stand that she's making there. It's a huge one, right? So everyone gets co-DC. But Robert Bala was Nick Saban's guy at linebacker coach. That's cool with me, right? Like that's fine with me. When Austin Armstrong left and Nick Saban was hiring his guys back at Alabama, it was Robert Bala for linebackers coach. So if Nick Saban thinks you're good enough to coach in the SEC, I'll think you're good enough to coach in the SEC. As far as any play calling duties, I mean, we feel like this is mostly in title. I don't know, like we'll talk about this for a second, and then we'll hit the break and we'll get the chat going. But I will say that it's very interesting to me that Vinny Sunseri got a co-DC title, and my reasoning for that was simply, hey, you took a linebackers, or you took a DC job, and so you can't leave a few weeks later to just take a position coach job, right? You got to add the co-DC to it. I thought that made sense. And then Robert Bala was strictly inside linebackers coach, and you got him to leave Washington with a co-DC title. But it's different because, again, with Vinny Sunseri, it's like, hey, he just took a DC job, so he's got to take co-DC in order to justify leaving, which to me made sense. Robert Bala, that doesn't, but also I think Robert Bala is a great hire. Everybody I've spoken to has been very high on Robert Bala. And so, look, I'm going to walk away with this and I'm going to say, hey, it's a good hire in my opinion right now. From what I've heard, from what I've seen, And again, Nick Saban wanted you as your linebackers coach or as his linebackers coach. I'm not going to be the one to criticize Nick Saban and say that Nick Saban's wrong, right? That doesn't seem like my place to be able to do that. I'll say Billy Napier does things wrong. I won't say that about Nick Saban. That's not exactly my place. We are going to get to the chat in a minute to answer everything that we can possibly answer about this hire. And we'll get back to you in a minute with Locked On Gators. Looking for tickets to your next big event, whether it's a concert, a comedy show, a sports game, whatever it may be, finding the right ticket at the right price can be an absolute headache. But with Game Time Picks, it's never been easier. So let me tell you how it works. With Game Time Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals, so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. You can go, like if you're looking at a Florida game that seats, 90,000 people? It's a lot of tickets going to be available. I'm not saying 90,000 tickets are going to be available, but you're going to get a lot of tickets available, right? Game Time helps you sort through the crap and find the good seats, good prices, good value. That's what we're looking here. Ready to make your next event even better? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And to wrap up today's episode of Locked On Gators, this bonus episode of Locked On Gators, I don't even think I acknowledged that it was a bonus episode. I think I was just so keyed in on I'm going to make jokes about everybody getting co-DC that I completely forgot to acknowledge it's a bonus episode right now. Second episode of the day. We had 3 yesterday. We're rolling. This doesn't feel like the offseason, right? Like this doesn't feel like the offseason for the Florida Gators right now. We got a lot of hires coming in, coming out. It's a fun time to be here. But we're going to look at the chat for the rest of this day because, I haven't really looked at any of it. Landon Nation, this is the first time that I've really looked there other than when I saw Charlie in here. And the amount of times that I could just scan and see co-DC is kind of wild. But, Landon Nation said, how many co-DCs can we have? I guess as many as you want. You got 2 co-DCs and a DC. I don't know what to say about it, honestly. Like, I don't get, and this isn't me dunking on it, trashing it, no matter what you want to say. I don't get why everybody gets co-DC titles. Just give them more money. That's fine. I don't need you to say, hey, it's co-DC. We need to give you more money. Just give them the damn money. It's fine with me. Let's make it 11 co-DCs, 1 for each player. I'm in. Honestly, might be the way we're headed. Look, we had 1 co-DC a week or 2 ago. We had 1 co-DC. Now we have 2. In another couple weeks, we could have a 3rd. And in another couple weeks, we could have a 4th. We're going to get there. By the time the season goes, we might have 11. Might as well promote Chapman and Harris as well. Well, that's the thing, too. Billy, in his press conference earlier today, Billy had mentioned basically that they just extended Gerald Chapman. And so I'm curious if they also just extended Will Harris. That would be interesting to me, at least. Another co-DC is actually kind of stupid. If everybody's a co-DC, nobody is. Here's the thing with the co-DC title, and I'm sorry to break this to you. I really am. It's so meaningless. Like, if there's 2 co-DCs and a DC, it's so meaningless to have the co-DC title. All it does is raise the pay scale, the prestige name of the job, but in practice, nothing. That's kind of all I can tell you. It's meaningless, but it makes him feel good. So you could say it's kind of stupid, but really it's just meaningless. It feels like, to me, it's more stupid to get worked up over it than the actual title is itself. Like you're adding to the hate of the title that is kind of meaningless just because you don't like it. You're kind of adding to it at that point. I really wanted the OC, but nope, Billy being stubborn like the last coach. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think it's anything to get upset about that. I'll say that. Like similar to Vinny Sunseri, You can hate the title or whatever, but Vinny Sunseri, we just didn't know anything about. I can't hate on something I don't know anything about. Robert Bala, I've only heard great things about him since asking about him. It's hard for me to get upset about that. I can't get too mad about things like this. Especially, again, Robert Bala is a guy with now 16 years of experience. I'm not going to get mad at it. You got it all wrong. We have 11 co-DCs. Then they will never know who is actually calling the defense. Well, that's the thing. You could have as many co-DCs as you want. We have a defensive coordinator, and he's calling the plays. Give him a chance. Co-DC, yep. How many co-DCs are we going to have? Look, I honestly don't know. I don't know how many co-DCs they're going to have. It's kind of impressive at this point to, again, have 2 co-DCs and a DC. I don't think this means anything about Ron Roberts. I will say that. I know that people like for a long while now, we've talked about, is Ron Roberts going to leave? Is he going to get fired? There's rumors about what he's done and what he said and all this stuff. And when it comes down to it, Billy Napier in his press conference today said, hey, the coaches that are here are going to stay here. To me, that says Ron Roberts' thing. I told you guys, I spoke with Ron Roberts last week at Senior Bowl practice, and I was like, hey, are you coming back for 2025? And he said, yes. And I shared that information, and people went, well, he's not going to know if he's going to get fired, right? And I said, sure, that might be the case. But then Billy came out, and Billy's like, hey, our staff that's here, they're going to stay here. I feel like that's a pretty good indicator that, hey, maybe that's where we're at right now, right? Like maybe that's just what we're looking at. Let me be a co-DC at this point. Every co is for title, but who's actually calling the defense? That's the thing. Ron Roberts is not co-DC. Ron Roberts is DC. That's it. Like Ron Roberts is defensive coordinator. He is not anymore defensive coordinator / linebackers coach. He is defensive coordinator. Ron Roberts is calling the defense. It's not about, who's calling the defense? Who's doing this? What's the hierarchy? It's Ron Roberts above everybody as DC and then below him. That's how it works. Okay. Are the rumors true that you're interviewing for co-DC, Brandon? Damn it, Drake. Damn it, Drake. Why is everybody named Drake gotta screw things up? Yes, I am interviewing for co-DC. Okay. I think I'm going to be co-DC / what position are we still? I think I'm going to be co-DC / slot. I think that's going to be my job. So yeah, that's going to be me. Soon it's coming out soon. Just letting you know. News should break any minute now. Might be Florida Victorious again with Nick De La Torre. But that's it. It's going to be me as co-DC / star position. That's me. Charlie said they're just titles. They are. They're just titles to justify pay. It's so, and like that's such a cosmetic thing that honestly, to get worked up about it, you're just hurting yourself because they don't care. Right? Like they don't care about it because they know it's just a title to justify pay. So stop getting worked up over who gets a co-DC title, especially while we have a DC. Need a head coach of the defense still? We do. Or I think Ron Roberts kept that one. I think he's DC / head coach of the defense executive head coach of the defense. I think it is / associate head coach / head chef. I think those are the titles there. Andres Villanueva said, any news on Sale and Peterson? I think they'll both be back. Again, Billy Napier had mentioned in his press conference today that the coaches that are here are going to stay here. And so I think that I take that as an indicator as Rob Sale and Mike Peterson will be back. On3 reported a couple weeks ago that they were negotiating deals or finalizing deals and nothing ever really came of it. But yeah, I would expect them both back. We do know that Rob Sale lost the co-OC tag. So he's technically taking a demotion, lost the co-OC tag. OC is Russ Callaway, most likely. We'll get the official announcement as just pure OC, but it'll still be Billy Napier calling plays. So not really. Didn't know Ron Roberts was officially given DC. I just remember last year, everyone. Yeah. So last year, Ron Roberts called the plays. We have been given confirmation of that. I forgot who exactly confirmed it. But Ron Roberts called the plays last year. So there's that. And yeah, that's kind of it. As far as what the rest of this coaching staff is going to fall out to be, we don't know. Like I said earlier, I spoke with Napier last week at Senior Bowl practice, and I mentioned the Vinny Sinceri hire. We talked on that briefly. He seemed like he was very optimistic for that. And then he kind of threw out there, hey, we're going to hire a lot more people. And this is that. This is the start of that. And I don't expect this to be the end of it. In fact, wouldn't shock me if we were getting some more news in the next couple days. Don't be surprised for anything. We're talking front office as well as getting finalized. Billy Napier mentioned during his press conference today that he feels that they're pretty good wrapping that up right now. So there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of moves, but hopefully they lead to the Florida Gators winning. Again, I know I was saying, Billy should be fired. If you win games and you figure this stuff out, man, then stay. I want Billy to succeed. I do. I want the Florida Gators to succeed more, though. And it's as simple as that. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks for making Locked On Gators, just especially in case we have to go live again tonight, which possibility. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, revision the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow at the absolute latest to talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I will see you all next time.